Good morning, everyone. I am Firsit B. Palo, one of your guest speakers for this morning. Join me as we learn more about the spotlight on authentic learning, student developed video projects, particularly a video podcast. At this moment, I will teach you 4 ways on how to record and create a video podcast. But first, let us know what is a video podcast. A video podcast is simply a podcast with a video element, and the video element could be as simple or as complex as you like or as your students like, but it is often consists of a single static image or a video recording of the podcast host and guests. Now, let us proceed to our main topic, which is 4 ways on how to record a video podcast. The first one is the static image recording. So, among the 4 ways, this is the easiest method of recording a video podcast because ang tanging gagawin lang ng mga students mo ay i-convert ang podcast audio file into a video file at saka mag-a-add sila ng static background image to play as the user listens. So the equipment needed here is the video editing software to add the static image and audio file together. So it doesn't matter kung anong video editing software. CapCut ba, Filmora Wondershare ba, or kahit ano pa yan as long as ma-add lang ang static image at saka ang audio file together. The advantage and or the pros is that this method is fast and easy, while the disadvantage or the cons is that the video created by this method is less engaging because it's basically just a way to publish an audio file to a video platform. So here's an example of an image static recording.
Magandang araw. Ngayong buwan ay pagdiriwang ng wika alinsunod sa taunang tema, Filipino at mga katutubong wika sa dekolonisasyon na pag-iisip ng mga Pilipino. At upang magbigay pugay sa selebrasyon na ito na natutungkol sa paggunita ng kahalagahan.
Ayan, that's an example of static image recording. Now let's proceed to the second way of making a video podcast. It is called in-studio recording. So dito sa in-studio recording, it is when you set up video equipment inside your recording studio to capture the conversation between the host and the guest. So sa nakikita ninyo sa YouTube, an example of this is the Tony Talks. So pwede mo ring ipagawa sa iyong mga mag-aaral, but do not expect na ganoon kabongga sa Tony Talks. They can improvise their studio as long as presentable, or they can use a green screen as their studio. And for the equipment needed here, at least one camera or multiple cameras. So it doesn't matter if it is a digital camera ba, or yung camera talaga na yung mamahaling camera, the students here can actually use their cellular phones to capture the videos or footage that they wanted to capture. So the advantage here is that madali lang din siyang gamitin. Or isa sa mga method na madali para gumawa ng video podcast. However, the disadvantage is that if yung pang-professional na talaga, they need to buy at least one camera or maybe more cameras. And it is more time-consuming when it comes to editing the video. So here's an example of in-studio recording. This is a project of a student that I downloaded from YouTube.
Magandang umaga Pilipinas, magandang umaga sa buong mundo. Welcome to MY Talk Show. Ako pong inyong lingkod na si Mary Margaret Yanzon. Panibagong umaga, panibagong pakikipan na nagmula sa mundo si Binibining Valerie. Hello po sa inyong lahat.
Ayan. So, yan yung example ng in-studio recording. So, sa nakikita nyo, yung ginamit ng mga mag-aaral ay green screen. Okay? The next one is the remote interview recording. So, in here, it is when you capture footage of multiple speakers who aren't in the room together. And the video usually shows all speakers at the same time. But some tools let you maximize one at a time. So sumikat ito especially nung nagkaroon ng pandemic. So the equipment needed, you'll need a software tool that captures multiple webcams at the same time. So, example niyan is yung pinakasikat na ginagamit natin is ang Zoom at ang Google Meet. But, pwede rin gumamit ng ibang platform pa yung ating mga students to capture footage of multiple speakers. As long as makakapture talaga siya ng footage ng multiple speakers. So, the advantage of this is that it doesn't require any special equipment. Ang kinakailangan lamang is laptop, yung software at saka yung internet connection. Ayan, the disadvantage is that it relies heavily on the quality and reliability of recording software and the internet connection. So, syempre, kung pangit yung recording software at mabagal yung internet connection, maaapektuhan talaga yung quality ng output ng ating mga mag-aral. Or sometimes, they have to record it, which is very difficult in their part. Now, here's an example of a remote interview recording. Still, this is a project of the students entitled Wika at Kulturang Regional Late Night Talks with Rachel and Francis.
Magandang gabi sa mga nakikinig ngayon sa Antito sa Late Night Talks with Francis and Rachel.
Nako, partner. Ang lamig na ng panahon ngayon, ano? Parang ramdam na talaga ang Pasko sa Pilipinas. At parang ang sarap mag-isip-isip habang umihigop ka ng mainit na kape sa umaga, no?
Tama ka, partner. Kasing init sa pagsalubong natin sa makakasama natin ngayong gabi.
Ayan. So, that is an example. So, as you can see, may dalawang host at saka may iisang guest and they are all in one screen. So, for the last one na pwede natin gamitin sa paggawa ng video podcast ay interview and B-roll recording. So, this is a mixture of archival or B-roll footage with a standard podcast recording. So, for example, if a guest reference says a movie, news article, or chart, you might edit that asset into the video for viewers to see. Equipment needed here is the camera, archival footage, and the video editing software. The advantages is that it creates highly engaging episodes because the production quality is so high. While the disadvantage is that among the four ways, this is the most time consuming because it requires a lot of time for video editing and at the same time, ito rin yung pinaka-expensive. Because it might be si student is gusto talaga makapag-produce ng magandang output. Kaya magbabayad siya ng video editing app na kung saan ay kayang i-edit yung gusto nilang mangyari sa kanilang video. So, here's an example of interview and B-roll recording. So, ito yung output namin nung ako ay nasa college pa with my classmates. So, it is just an intro since masyado talagang mahaba yung actual na video nito.
Isa sa mga pinamahalagang pag-usapan ay ang ating wika dahil ito ang sumasalamin sa ating kultura, paniniwala, tradisyon at kalagayan bilang mamamayang Pilipino. Sa tuwing babanggitin ang usaping wika, tila marami ang nagiging makata, kahanga-hanga sa pananalita, subalit kung titingnan ay kulang sa gawa. Marami ang nagsasabing napakaganda ng ating wika, subalit marami pa ring mga negatibong isyu ang
Ayan, that is an example of interview and B-roll recording. Now, I will teach you on how to create a video podcast. For this one, we will be creating static image recording. And the app that I will be using for the video editing software is Wondershare Filmora. Let me give you a brief tour about Wondershare Filmora. So we have here the media. So the project media in here, you can drop your video clips and the audio and the images that you will use. There is also a sample colors that you can use and sample video that you can use, and this is free from Filmora. There are also audios that you can use. You just have to download it in the internet first. At saka free din ito from Filmora. Also, there are also titles na pwede mong gamitin. Itong costume, ikaw mismo yung gagawa. Sa openers, gagamitin mo ito sa start ng video. Mayroon ding pang titles, may pang lower thirds, may pang subtitles, at may pang end credits. Meron ding plain text at saka merong call out. So, free pa rin ito galing sa Filmora. And of course, if you wanted your video to have a transition, meron din dito mga transitions na maaari mong gamitin para sa iyong mga videos. And of course, effects. So, meron tayo dito kung gusto mo ng black and white. So, may effects na black and white. Meron ding old video. At kung gusto mo namang blur, mayroong basic blur. At kung gusto mong glitch, mayroong strong glitch. So, depende sa kinakailangan mo para sa iyong video. At syempre, may mga elements din or mga stickers na maaari mong gamitin for your video. And isa sa pinakamagandang feature ng Filmora is ang split screen. So, pwede kang makapag-add ng 1 up to 6 videos. Now, let's go back sa ating static image recording. So, for our static image recording, all you have to do is i-add mo dito yung video clip or yung image at saka yung audio. So, for this one, inilagay ko na siya diretso. Ayan, so ito yung ilalagay ko. Ayan, I'll just have to add it here. Tsaka mag-add tayo ng audio. So, yung recording na ito is, ginamit ko dito yung sarili kong boses. So, as you can see, I just put together the image and the audio. So, after na ma-edit nyo ma-add nyo together yan, you can export it and then you add title, webinar series. So, for me, it's webinar series. Tapos, pipili lang ako ng folder kung saan ko ito i-save at saka okay na yung resolution para sa akin at saka export na siya diretso. Once na-export na yan, mag-aantay lang ako ng ilang minutes. Okay, so, after yan na ma-export na, yan, pwede mo na yan siyang i-share sa YouTube, i-share sa Facebook, or ano pa yung social media platforms na pwede nyong i-share yung link. In addition, you can also use this video editing software to edit in-studio recording and interview and B-roll recording. So, maraming pwedeng paggamitan si Wondershare Filmora. Okay, this concludes my presentation for this morning. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you learned a lot from my presentation.